Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, along with Barbados, Belize, and Dominica, will begin implementing the full free movement regime of the Caribbean Community Caricom on October 1st, 2025. These four countries will be the first Caricom member states to fully adopt this landmark arrangement. Under the new regime, nationals of these participating countries, including Vincentians, will be able to freely enter, leave, re-enter, reside, work, and remain indefinitely in each other's territories without the need for a work or residency permit. In addition to freedom of movement and employment, nationals will also gain access within the capacity of the host country to emergency and primary healthcare services, as well as public primary and secondary education. This marks a significant expansion of the rights currently afforded under the Caricom Single Market and Economy, the CSME framework. This major decision was adopted by the Caricom heads of government during the 49th regular meeting of the conference earlier this year. According to Caricom, this free movement arrangement falls within the new enhanced cooperation chapter of the revised Treaty of Chagaramas. This chapter allows a minimum of 3 member states to move ahead with deeper levels of integration, provided that the full Caricom membership is unable to implement those objectives in a reasonable time frame. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade and Consumer Affairs says it is actively working with Caricom to ensure that the required legislative, administrative, and institutional frameworks are in place for the smooth rollout of the full free movement regime by the October 2025 deadline. The CSME is a key component of regional integration in the Caribbean, aiming to create a single economic space among Caricom member states. It allows for the free movement of goods, services, capital, and skilled labor. However, full free movement of all nationals within restrictions such as work permit requirements has been a long-term goal that only a few member states have now committed to implementing. This step by St. Vincent and the Grenadines and its 3 regional partners is being hailed as a milestone in regional integration and a possible model for broader adoption across the Caribbean in the future. Over the past few months, a new company, Eastern Caribbean Food Traders Limited, has been purchasing plantains from farmers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Today, Deputy Prime Minister Montgomery Daniel announced on NBC Radio that payments to these farmers will soon be processed. Daniel described the update as good news for local farmers. He noted that the authorities are working to decentralize the payment process, make it more accessible and efficient for farmers in various regions.
The Eastern Caribbean Food Traders Limited, that they have been purchasing plantains from farmers for quite some time, and that payments will be made to all the farmers by Friday of this week. The ministry is looking to decentralize the payments as much as possible, where on the leeward side, the payments will be done at the Rosebank LRC. On the windward side, the payments are scheduled to be paid at the Georgetown Revenue Office, and centrally that payments would be done at the Ministry of Agriculture building on Maurice Road.
In addition to plantain farmers, arrowroot farmers are also expected to receive long-awaited payments. Minister Daniel confirmed that the 2025 payments will be issued next week. These payments are part of an annual compensation initiative introduced after last February volcanic eruption in 2021, which destroyed the National Arrowroot Processing Factory. As a result of the destruction, many farmers have been unable to harvest or process their rice zones, leaving them reliant on government support.
My last discussions with the Ministry of Agriculture was that the payment for rice zones for this year 2025 will be done on Tuesday the 30th of September, which is next Tuesday. And so all arrowroot farmers will be paid on that day for this crop year 2025. There are a number of farmers who are still growing the crop.
Yeah.
And interestingly, some of those farmers have turned to traditional means, where they would rape some of their rhizomes and they will pound the rhizomes and get the starch. So that you still have some starch, and some call it madongo.
To revive the industry, a new Arrowed factory is currently under construction. Once completed, farmers will once again be able to harvest and process their crops, restoring productivity and reducing reliance on subsidies. And Minister of National Mobilization, Kiesel Peters, has described the ongoing development of the new Kingston port as modernization at its finest. She made a statement during a discussion on Star Radio, highlighting that the improvements will significantly strengthen the country's security infrastructure. Peters explained that the upgrade facility will feature state-of-the-art scanning technology aimed at making inspections faster, more efficient, and more thorough. She emphasized the importance of these upgrades, particularly in light of past incidents involving the smuggling of illegal firearms into the country. The minister expressed strong support for the installation of the new scanner, stating that it will play a critical role in enhancing border security and will serve as a key component of the broader modernization efforts at the port.
One of the issues that the Caribbean has is that because we are in close proximity to the United States of America, the illegal firearms easily find themselves into our region, and then they get into the hands of persons who will not do the right thing and will use these firearms to commit murder. So sometimes you may find that a firearm may have been used in a crime in the US, and it finds its way down here and is given life again to take a life in our country. And it's a regional problem, and it is something that St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have been very vocal about on the international stage. The Prime Minister, and I know, for me as well, when I was the Minister of Foreign Affairs, we spoke about this at length. And I am happy to hear that the national security of the country is also going to be enhanced by this port so that we could scan the items that are coming in. So that is modernization at its finest.
Peters further underscored that the port redevelopment project reflects the government's commitment to public safety while also positioning the nation's main port to meet international standards for trade, travel, and security. Meanwhile, Minister of Urban Development, Energy, Seaports, and Grenadines Affairs, Benava Brown, has welcomed the early delivery of access to the new port, calling it a significant milestone in the lead-up to the facility's official handing over, which is scheduled for later this month, later October. Minister Brown described the development as a major step forward in ensuring smooth operations, noting that early access allows for additional preparation and testing of operational systems, helping to guarantee efficiency and readiness from day one.
I mean, we have done various things. We have shown the equipment, the API. We have toured to see some of the modern equipment, including the container scanner. This is modernization to the Vincentian context, as we would have previously invested in a pallet scanner.
Okay.
And that would have be able to scan that quantity of goods, but now we have enlarged the ability, so we're scanning by containers now.
Okay.
So that means we're able to scan your container, get you your container quicker to improve the economic activity and business in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The government minister emphasized that the port project marks a major leap in national modernization, building upon previous infrastructure investments that led the groundwork for this latest transformation. Brown further noted that modernization efforts go before the internal operations of the facility. Externally, the port now features new stress cleaning equipment to maintain a clean and safe working environment. In addition, enhanced security measures have been introduced, including keycard access, which replaces traditional keys and improves overall access control.
Can't have people out there with a broom anymore, so we have a street cleaner which is air conditioned. It have a radio in it, so whoever is in there could be listening to some vibes while cleaning the port. So we are modernizing the whole operations and the equipment of the port all around.
Nice.
So the port, the handover, the Prime Minister received the key card. Keys are no longer in fashion anymore. So it's no longer the outdated keys, and the key card allows access throughout the port. But as employees would gain access and get their key cards, that would, you would see the security plans that go into the key cards and where they're able to access.
The minister reiterated that the new project reflects the government's strong commitment to delivering a world-class facility, one that will boost trade capacity, strengthen national security, and set new regional benchmarks for efficiency, technology integration, and environmental management. The Kingston Port redevelopment is one of the largest infrastructure projects in St. Vincent and the Grenadines' history and is expected to play a key role in the country's long-term economic and maritime development. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has officially launched its National Human Papillomavirus HPV screening program, marking a significant step forward in the country's efforts to eliminate cervical cancer. The initiative was launched on Tuesday by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, and the World Health Organization, the WHO, Basic Health International, and UNITARD. Speaking at the launch, Dr. Taralyn Malcolm, PAHO and WHO advisor for non-communicable diseases, commended SVG for joining the global movement to eliminate cervical cancer, noting that the goal is for countries to reduce cases to fewer than 4 per 100,000 women, a threshold defined by the WHO as elimination.
Cervical cancer is one of the few cancers we have the power to prevent and to ultimately eliminate as a public health problem. This means having 4 or less cases per 100,000 population. Think about that for a moment. You have the power in your hand to prevent one type of cancer. Wouldn't you want to utilize that power? Wouldn't you? Yes. So this is really the opportunity for us, because HPV gives us that opportunity. It helps us to protect women, save lives, and ensure the future generation never have to face this disease the way we have been dealing with it. The introduction of HPV testing as a primary screening method represents a transformational step in this journey. It allows for earlier, more accurate detection and helps ensure that women receive treatment before the cancer develops.
Dr. Malcolm emphasized that while HPV screening is a critical component of the strategy, vaccination against HPV remains a cornerstone of prevention. Dr. Malcolm added that national efforts must include introducing and scaling up HPV vaccination, especially among key age groups such as pre-adolescent girls and boys, to ensure long-term impact.
The World Health Organization strategy to eliminate cervical cancer as a public health problem requires 3 pillars. 1 is vaccination, protecting girls from HPV infection before they are exposed, usually between the ages of 9 and 14 years. Screening using the HPV, which is a high-performance test, by the ages of 35 to 59 or 60 years. And treatment, ensuring every woman with precancerous or cancer receives timely care. So vaccination is our first and strongest line of defense. I know that there are certain concerns within the community. There are hesitancies across the Caribbean and the region, but the evidence is clear. And we have the evidence from other vaccines that we have been administering throughout childhood, and that's the reason we don't have some of the conditions.
Health Minister Sinclair Prince outlined the government's commitment to eliminating cervical cancer within the next 5 years, pointing to the launch as a part of SVG's broader national strategy for cervical cancer elimination. He said the initiative will particularly focus on reaching vulnerable and underserved communities where access to screening and healthcare services may be limited.
I know I've heard about the pilot areas of Pembroke, Maracua, Georgetown, Caliacua. I suppose we have to train our people to be a little bit more sensitive to what the situation is going to be like. And I know there are people who seem to think that you just come to work, do what you have to do, and go back home. This particular exercise would need a lot of training, and I think and I hope that the health team is dealing with that. So this will be our initial salvo in this war, another war that we have to fight. Of course, the goal is to spread out further throughout the entire country, from Fancy to Ashton. And this will include HPV DNA testing, I've been advised, which at the moment is only offered privately. Under this project, this testing will be made available in the public system for the very first time, and I'm happy about this.
The initiative aligns with the WHO's global strategy to accelerate the elimination of cervical cancer, which was launched in 2020 and is built on the 90-70-90 targets. 90% of girls fully vaccinated with the HPV vaccine by age 15, 70% of women screened using a high-performance test by age 35, and again by age 45. 90% of women identified with cervical disease receive treatment. According to local health data, 17 cervical cancer-related deaths have been recorded in St. Vincent and the Grenadines over the past few years. The launch event also included the handover of 13 laptops and 100 HPV test kits to the Ministry of Health, which will support the digital infrastructure and logistical needs of the screening program. SVG joins other Caribbean nations in pushing towards regional elimination targets, as cervical cancer remains one of the leading causes of cancer death among women in the region. In other local news now, we hear that education personnel in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are currently undergoing training to better prepare for emergencies and ensure that schooling continues with minimal disruption during crises. The two-day training, which began today, is being conducted by the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, SVG, in collaboration with UNICEF and the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO. Senior Program Officer at SVG, Rhoda, explained the importance of equipping education personnel with the necessary skills to respond effectively during emergencies. He emphasized that the participants are being trained to become instructors who will then be responsible for leading emergency management efforts within their respective schools and institutions.
We are looking to equip you, the participants, with practical tools and approaches to integrate education in emergencies, or what we call EIE, into national education systems and policies. We are going to promote multi-sectorial coordination and collaboration during and after emergencies, and we also want to add before the emergencies. We are going to enhance your understanding of the psychosocial support, inclusive education, and child protection in crisis contexts.
Over the last 5 years, SVG has experienced 3 major emergencies: the COVID-19 pandemic, the eruption of La Soufrière volcano, and Hurricane Beryl. These events severely disrupted the education system and affected thousands of Vincentians. Deputy Director of NEMO, Kenson Stoddard, highlighted the trickle-down impact that such disasters have had on education, noting that the effects go far beyond the immediate damage.
Of course, the impact spreads over into our society. We've had persons displaced, having to shelter in schools. These are some of the challenges we are facing. We have persons sheltering in school, and because persons are sheltering in schools, we can't have our regular school sessions. And so, over the years, over the last 5 years, these are some of the things that we have to grapple with. And NEMO recognizing our importance to disaster management in St. Vincent and Grenadines. Really pleased for these initiatives. Really pleased for opportunities like this, that we could collaborate, we could partner, we could have a conversation about what our needs are, where are the gaps, and how do we move forward with education during emergencies.
Chief Education Officer K. Martin Jack welcomed the training and described it as timely and necessary. She expressed hope that with improved preparedness, students will no longer have to suffer significant loss of instructional time due to disasters or emergencies.
These disasters strike. Schools often serve as emergency shelters, offering safety and protection to our people. But once the shelters are vacated, these same schools must be repaired and restored quickly to ensure the continuation of education. This dual responsibility highlights the critical importance of ensuring that our education system is both resilient and prepared. Colleagues, these experiences remind us that education continuity is not optional. It is essential. Every child in St. Vincent and the Grenadines has the right to uninterrupted learning, even in times of crisis. This is why we must invest in planning, preparedness, and training in relation to how we deal with hazards.
The training forms part of a wide effort to strengthen disaster risk management in the education sector, ensuring resilience and continuity in the face of future emergencies. St. Vincent and the Grenadines' non-resident ambassador to Japan, Andrea Bowman, has described the country's participation in the 2025 World Expo in Osaka, Japan, as the entry of a dynamic youthful player into the global tourism and investment arena. Ambassador Bowman made remarks during her presentation at SVG's National Day at the Expo, where the nation was formally showcased to an international audience. She emphasized that the event provided a valuable opportunity to highlight the best of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to the Japanese public through meaningful interaction and cultural exchange. According to Bowman, such platforms are essential for promoting SVG's tourism potential and attracting international investment.
This morning and later this evening, we present St. Vincent and the Grenadines to the world, and we allow Vincentians the world over to see, hear, and understand how our country has been exhibited in Japan for the past 6 months. This morning and this evening, we highlight the best of SVG, and we thank the government and people of Japan for affording us this opportunity to interact with and to learn from the best of the best at this international exposition. Economics is not the only language or measurement of human development. Countries' aesthetic and cultural expressions epitomize the wealth of countries' greatest resources. Our greatest resources are our human resources in concert with our natural and built environments. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has utilized the generous platform provided by Japan for projecting Vincentian wealth to the world, and our partnership with Japan at Expo 2025 follows the trajectory of our enduring relationship with this country.
Bowman also highlighted the role of diplomatic relations between SVG and Japan, noting that these ties foster constructive developmental cooperation with a strong focus on people-to-people engagement. She stated that this approach has helped to strengthen bilateral relations and lay the foundation for deeper collaboration in the future.
Collaborations in the areas of fisheries, healthcare, education, disaster reduction and mitigation are also of major significance. In 2024, in recognition of the depth of the relationship between our countries and in appreciation for our Prime Minister's outstanding contribution to strengthening this bilateral relationship, the government of Japan conferred one of this country's highest decorations to foreign nations, the Grand Cordon of the Order of the Rising Sun, on Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The conferment of this honor of friendship, dignity, and partnership undergirds the caliber of the 6-month presentation from April to September 2025, which our country has mounted at this pavilion here in Osaka, Japan.
The evening celebration featured live performances by top Vincentian artists, giving guests a first-hand experience of the vibrancy, creativity, and cultural richness of SVG. Bowman noted that this cultural showcase was an essential part of sharing the spirit of the nation on the global stage.
This evening, we will all be treated to a taste of these energies, from some of our premier performing artists, in the persons of the enduring international sensation Kevin Little, Raga Soca champions Hans John and Utamu Bongo Prime Rose, steel band aficionado Saeed Bowman, and DJ Q, and a contingent of dancers of the highest caliber. Our pavilion here at Expo 2025 has sought to capture and to bring all of these treasures and more to this world stage. So here we are today. To a large extent, our pavilion's efforts have succeeded during the 6-month period through the use of an immersive virtual reality experience, which was a highlight of our pavilion. Ours is one of the few countries which mounted this virtual reality showcase that allowed visitors to dive beneath the waters of SVG, the critter capital of the Caribbean, hike La Soufriere volcano, and join a live carnival celebration.
The event marked a proud milestone for St. Vincent and the Grenadines as it continues to expand its international presence, build new partnerships, and position itself as a competitive player in tourism, culture, and investment.